Okay, so how many of you have a lot of spare time? Yes, a taker. Okay, so I'm not going to, belabor some of the obvious things about internet marketing and blogging. Sorry, internet marketing and blogging, being consistent with emailing your list, that sort of thing, because a lot of us already know the benefits of it. So the purpose of this little talk is just to encourage you to think about not just the benefits of content marketing. I've listed some of them here, which you already know. But to think about content marketing as a process that you can automate and optimize, because very few of us have spare time. That guy does. I've got 2 kids at home. I'm happy to show you photos later if you want to find me. We've all got a lot of demands on our time. And, when push comes to shove, sometimes the thing that's going to get pushed aside, neglected, is marketing, specifically content marketing. So as you're trying to get your software product off the ground, you're wearing all the different hats with your startup, it's really, really hard to stay consistent with some of the things that down the road will help you get new customers. So think about content marketing as a process that it's like anything else in your software. You could automate and optimize and buy back a lot of your time. So I do not any longer see content marketing as a huge time suck. Here are some of my little things that I do to get back time. Some of them may work for you. I'm going to go fast. Here are the sort of the 4 pieces that I try to optimize. And when you think about, when you think about a process, it's helpful to break it down into its individual phases or steps so that you can, get hyper-focused on each one. Anyway, several things to remember. When you're getting started and trying to figure out what to write about for your startup or your product, develop a table of contents, but think about the table of contents as an info product that you could build. A lot of you will have landing pages, you'll need lead magnets, you'll want to give some piece of content away for free in exchange for people's email addresses. Well, before you sort of kickstart the whole blogging thing, or maybe your blog is stalled out, why not brainstorm your table of contents in advance so that when the time comes to write about a new topic, you already have your list right there. What sort of thing do you need to give away? What thing could you brainstorm a table of contents for? Here are some examples. Most of you are familiar with info products, so I don't need to go into too much detail with that. But, here are some questions that you can ask as you're trying to think through topics, right? Because I talk to people on a regular basis who aren't sure what to write about, or maybe you're not even sure what your product is yet. Asking certain questions can help you identify the things that at least you're interested in. And if you need more ideas, then I recommend Amy Hoy's Sales Safari methodology. You can go to forums, you can go into comments on Amazon, you can go a bunch of different places to figure out the questions that are being asked most commonly. And I've found gold when I do that. So let's get down to sort of the block and tackle stuff. I've identified 2 types of posts. I call them thought leadership articles and the SEO-focused blog posts that Josh just mentioned. You may find yourself wanting to write both kinds. I think that's fine. You may not get a lot of traffic on the thought leadership posts. You can definitely target keywords in your SEO-focused posts, but sometimes I don't want to do a tips post. Sometimes I want to write about, work-life balance, which Sherry talked about, and write about whatever you want to write about, but keep in mind that it can fit into a product later on. Here's the thing that I help my clients with quite a bit if I'm doing ghostwriting for them. To write, you don't have to write. You can pull out your phone and you can record a voice memo. What really stops a lot of people from staying consistent with content marketing is they can't find the time to just sit down at a computer and just write a first draft. You don't have to. You can record a voice memo, right? You have a voice memo app on your phone, take it out, riff for 8 to 10 minutes, and then once you have that audio, you can send the audio to a transcriptionist on Upwork. That's where mine is, Claus in Ireland. Or you can use the Rev app. How many of you, has anyone heard of the Rev app? So that's where you record voice memos and then they'll transcribe it for you. Now, once you have that transcription, what do you do? Well, it's pretty easy at that point to shape it up into a blog post. There's going to be a lot of dead space in your transcript, but somebody, even a writer, you could pay a writer to do that for you. So if you're short on time, record the memo, have it transcribed, have somebody else whittle it down into a post. Now, when it comes to actually publishing it, obviously if you've got WordPress or Craft or whatever, you could do that yourself. But again, if you're short on time, why wouldn't you hire somebody else to just load up the post for you and ping you when it's ready for your review? Well, that might be worth it. Can we go back? Yes. Let's just appreciate that for a moment. Okay. So I love Unsplash. It's where I source most of my images. They're free, license-free, royalty-free, commercial usage images, all high-res. Some of them are just like, very beautiful. So that's where I get a lot of images. Don't waste a ton of time finding the perfect image. Find a good enough image and move on. Probably do want to include images in your post. So to sort of wrap up this little part, you've got a table of contents. Once you finish writing all those topics, that table of contents could become an info product or at least a lead magnet that you could use to build your email list, right? So let's look at like your time investment now. 2 minutes to look and see what the next topic on your table of contents is. 10 minutes to record a new voice memo, and then 2 minutes to send the link over to your transcriptionist. It doesn't take any of your time for the transcriptionist to do his or her work, just a little bit of money. Same with, you could actually set it up so that your transcriptionist sends the transcript to your writer sends the finished draft to your VA loads everything up in your CMS of choice, and then you'll probably want to review the post at the very least before you publish it, right? So at this point, your total time investment might be less than an hour. And you might end up paying, $50 to $100 a blog post. You might go a little bit less than that. But like I said, I just encourage you, as you break this up into pieces, to think, well, you can optimize all these little steps, right? You guys are already used to that. So once you've got the post live, it's just basically a house in the woods unless you start sending people to it. So what I do is I pull all my social updates from my latest blog post. So I might identify 10 to 15 tweets in a blog post, pull those out. I can upload those en masse to Buffer using this other third-party app called Bulk Buffer. I also love Smarter Queue. Some of you might be familiar with Edgar or Recur Post. There's various apps out there that allow you to do social media scheduling. I can tell you later why I like Smarter Queue, but create a content library there and then just recycle your content, right? So at this point, I probably have 500 tweets already loaded up in Edgar or Smarter Queue, and those just post. So when I'm here, I don't have to worry about keeping my socials fresh. Also, wait about 7 days and then syndicate your posts over to Medium. There's a WordPress plugin that will do that automatically for you. If you don't use WordPress, maybe hire your VA to manually post on Medium for you. Also, some of you have already done this. I love Zapier. There are a bunch of little sharing things that I have zaps that do for me. So one of them is actually, this will be familiar to most of you. My RSS feed pings Zapier, and then Zapier auto posts stuff for me, or it creates an email newsletter in ConvertKit, which I use. So I know that was a lot. Some of those tips may work for you. Some of them may not work for you at all. Regardless, say, here's this thing that will be really important for driving growth in my business. It's called content marketing. And if you take each one of the steps and think about how much of your own time you can remove from each step, you can stay consistent with some of these supporting activities without creating a huge time suck for yourself. If you want the slides, you can go to that link, and obviously Shai will have notes. So thanks for being such good listeners.